Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this pair seminar. You probably see already in the movie, pair try to address the major societal challenges. So at this moment, actually pair has 11 research institutes and 6 research centers addressing our daily needs. And in the past year, the Polytechnic University gave $150 million support to pair, and then all the research institutes and centers generate over $600 million external funding. So we not only produce more than 1,000 research papers, but we also transfer a lot of knowledge through like international conferences, seminars, patents, knowledge being used by government and industry, etc. So we wanted to make the life better through our research. And this afternoon, I have a great pleasure to introduce our guest speaker. That's Professor Chun-Tao from University of Illinois in Chicago. So Professor is currently the Harry H.S. Fong Professor of Pharmacognosy at the UIC's College of Pharmacy and the Director of the WHO Collaborating Center for Traditional Medicine. So Professor is also a fellow of pair. We are very proud to have him as our first batch of fellow. So Professor Che received his training in biochemistry and pharmacology from the Chinese University of Hong Kong and UIC respectively, and hold leadership roles and his alma mater to drive Chinese medicine development in the universities and the communities he served. Professor Che joined the CUHK in 1999, the same year when the Hong Kong government passed the Chinese medicine ordinance and incorporated the Chinese medicine into the medical system. At the CUHK, he and his team designed the new university programs to nurture the next generation of Chinese medicine practitioners. He served as the director of CUHK School of Chinese Medicine from 2001 to 2010, and was a former member of the registration committee of the Chinese Medicine Council of Hong Kong, making recommendations on matters relating to the registration and qualifications of the Chinese medicine practitioners. In 2011, Professor Che joined the UIC and has been serving as the university until now. At the UIC, he leads the WHO Collaborating Center for Chinese Medicine. The center is one of the WHO's network members in the field of traditional complementary and then integrative medicine, or TCI. Currently, the WHO TCI network includes the collaborating centers, research institutes listed in South America, Europe, Southeast Asia, and the Western Pacific regions. It gathers expertise in TCI around the globe to promote the integration of a safe, evidence-based traditional and complementary medicine into national health system. The center led by Professor Che has been developing and providing technical input and scientific information to WHO on herbal medicine with a view to supporting the implementations of WHO traditional medicine strategy. So Professor Che is one of the early members contributing to the application of Chinese traditional medicine at the local and international levels. I am sure that his wealth of experience in the East and West is very valuable in informing us the way forward for Chinese medicine development. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our guest speaker, Professor Che.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and good afternoon to all who are watching on Zoom. Right? Yeah, it's my great pleasure and honor to be a peer fellow. So to start with, let me thank Professor Chen for his kind introduction and invitation. For many years, I have the honor of partnering with some of the colleagues at the PolyU, including Professor Menso Wang and Professor Daniel Mark. And so I look forward to many more opportunities to work with many other colleagues in the area of Chinese medicine, natural products research. And maybe I have to add that I'm very happy to see Professor Yang Hingwen here. And Professor Yang was my teacher at Chinese U. And yeah, I'm very glad that he came to join us today. Now, the topic of my presentation today highlights, use this or? Okay. Yeah, highlights Chinese medicine. But in my talk, probably I would expand it a little bit to cover herbal medicine in general, right? Now, the importance of Chinese medicine as a medical and medicinal system, of course, needs no emphasis. But in terms of trading, the global market of Chinese medicine has reached almost like 30 billion US dollars. And so it is a big market for a lot of people all around the world. Now, many of these products, either in the form of raw herbs, extracts, or finished products, are sold in different places as drugs or health food or other kinds of healthcare products, depending on the regulatory framework in each place. So far, there is no global consensus on how these materials or these products should be defined and regulated. So the discrepancies in the regulatory framework has created hurdles for expanding the international market in certain ways. But that is a very big topic that I cannot cover today. I just want to mention that. Now, in the US, herbal products are sold as supplements or dietary supplements. And as you can see in this the graph, in the last few years, every year, the sales increased by almost like 10%. So the market is substantial. Now, while herbal drug market is increasing internationally, and the products are consumed worldwide, calls for more scientific information to support their use are emerging everywhere. And as you know, the safety and efficacy of any kind of pharmaceuticals are the main issue of concern, not only for the consumers, but for manufacturers and regulators and for the scientific and particularly like the medical or biomedical community in general. So safety and efficacy are, of course, intimately related to the quality. Okay? And so only when the quality is ensured, its safety and efficacy can be ensured. And of course, low quality products will certainly lead to compromised therapeutic effects, and in some cases, they may produce or lead to some toxic reactions which no one would like to see. So, and this is exactly where the worries come from the medical community and the general public. So currently, I think an imperative task is to provide scientific evidence to advance our knowledge of how the quality of herbal drugs can be improved, how they work, and to understand how to ensure the safety of these products. Now, to set the scene for further discussion on herbal quality, let's see how herbal substances are different from the chemical drugs, which most of you are more familiar with. Botanical products, of course, by definition, they are natural and non-synthetic, and they only go through very crude processes without sophisticated purification. Now, what is important for botanical products is that their chemical composition is very complex, and also the ingredients varies, and as a matter of fact, many of the structures within the plant are still remain unknown. All right. And then, well, here I just want to show you that if for vitamin C, you see a single peak when you do the analysis, and easily you can detect any impurities in there if there are any. But for herbal products, it is actually a very complicated mixture. So that poses a lot of scientific challenges in order to control the quality of herbal products. Now, in terms of pharmacology, the active principles of herbal products are often unknown, and the action mechanisms are unknown too. And so there may be synergistic or antagonistic interactions among those different classes of chemical ingredients. So these situations, the complexity of chemical ingredients and the complicated pharmacological actions have created many challenges in our understanding of the properties of herbal drugs. Now, while herbal drugs, the herbal drug market is expanding everywhere, we are facing many problems associated with them. Here, I just want to show you a few issues that the industry or the herbal drug community is facing. That includes misidentification, substitutions, and adulteration of the products. Contamination, of course, is always a problem. And then batch-to-batch inconsistency and non-uniform quality is, of course, causing another issue. Now, for most of the products in the market, the clinical outcome or clinical actions are unproven, and the mechanism of action is unclear. And of course, a lot of people consider that would pose a possible risk if taking them. So these are some of the general concepts that a lot of people have regarding taking botanical products. And then to make it more complicated, of course, then there are false and unproven claims. Often you can see, and then the lack of harmonized regulatory standards, as I just mentioned, that would prevent the communication and the harmonization of the products across or among different countries or different places. So in this talk, I will focus only on some challenges from a scientific perspective, particularly those related to the quality, the safety, and efficacy of herbal products, of course, including Chinese medicines. Now, as far as quality is concerned, assuring authenticity, purity, and consistency is essential, right? And botanical substances present particular challenges for detecting misidentification and contamination. And of course, the presence of adulterants is also an important issue all around the world. Now, technically, it is always challenging to analyze plant extracts, as you all know, and because because of the complication of the chemical compositions, and so the situation will be worse when different herbs are mixed together to make a formulation. Now, for some products in the market, it is not clear what the extract or what the exact raw material is. Now, here I just want to give you an example that for a bottle of products labeled as ginseng, and so one thinks this is ginseng, okay? Yeah, but as a matter of fact, there are different kinds of ginseng, okay? They belong even to different species, plant species in some cases, like the Siberian ginseng and Indian ginseng. They belong to even different genera of plants. So this is one of the challenges now in the market, that is unsure what the bottle that you get is actually, what is the original or the source materials. The same thing is true, say, like in this case, the cinnamon. So there are different species of plant known as, or can be used as cinnamon. Officially, it can be used as cinnamon. So without specifying the exact plant source would pose a lot of issues, not only for quality, but also for safety issues. So the proper identification of the source material is a must, I would say. And of course, then authentication can be achieved by different approaches, which I don't need to go into. Many of you are very familiar with. We can authenticate, or we can identify plant materials through their botanical characteristics, or by based on their chemical compositions, and then by doing the DNA fingerprinting based on molecular approaches. So in terms of research, and there are still a lot of research ongoing on how to authenticate the plant materials properly, right? Well, there are many literature sources, of course, for us to follow, including the Pharmacopoeia and the number of monographs. And you must know that in Hong Kong, we have the Hong Kong Chinese Materia Medica Standards now available. So they also can serve as a convenient and useful reference. Now, in some cases, substitution of herbal materials happens. Now, this is an example happening in the US at this time. Black cohosh is an American plant belonging to Atia racemosa. The official plant should come from the mountainous area in the eastern US. But now people realize that in the market, there are many substitutes, okay, products substituted by different kinds of Atia plants, okay? And so this is the situation now, probably because the low supply of the authentic black cohorts, and so this is a situation that would create a lot of questions and a lot of issues, okay, regarding the quality and the safety of the products. Now, adulteration is another issue. In many cases, intentional addition of extraneous, improper, or inferior ingredients into the product may happen. And a common type of adulteration is the addition of undeclared chemical drugs into the herbal preparation in order to boost up the effect or the efficacy, right? And so this is a matter of concern at this time for the industrial, the herbal industry, that adulteration would cause a lot of problems as far as the safety issues are concerned. Here, I just want to give you some examples of hidden, we call it hidden ingredients, commonly found in some herbal products like weight loss products and the sexual enhancement products. They can be adulterated with a number of chemical drugs, and in the US this is illegal, right? Now, to address the increasing cases of adulterant or adulteration, I just want to mention here that the American Botanical Council, the ABC, launched a project in collaboration with American Herbal Pharmacopoeia and University of Mississippi, or a program called Botanical Adulterant Prevention Program. It's an international consortium aiming at providing advices and information to all stakeholders like industry researchers, the health professionals, and the government agencies, etc. And so they have published a number of literature articles, and if any one of you are interested, you can just go to their website and you will find a lot of information about the adulterant situation, at least in the US, all right? Now, there are also issues regarding the detection of impurities and to evaluate the consistencies of herbal products. Now, there are many impurities, many kinds of impurities that could contaminate herbal products, including some, we call it unwanted botanical substances, some chemicals like heavy metals or pesticide, and also, of course, the adulterated undeclared chemicals, and then microbial organisms and microbial toxins like aflatoxin, of course, is always a potential issue, and then some other foreign matters. So among these impurities, substances like heavy metals and the pesticide and microbial toxin, of course, will pose health risk to the consumers. And so researchers are trying very hard now these days to find better ways for detecting these harmful contaminants. Now, another potential risk is the contamination by some toxic plants, and this actually happens, right? For example, for plants that the products that might be contaminated with the the Aristolochia or a Sarum species, they will pose some potential risk of getting kidney toxicity because of the aristolochic acid type of ingredients present in Aristolochia plants. And the same is for like Senecio plants. They contained hepatotoxic pyrrolizidine alkaloids, and so when contaminated with this, like a Senecio plants, then they will consumers will be exposed, okay, to possible liver toxicity. For aconitum, the same thing. Aconitum contains a lot of neurotoxic aconitine type of alkaloids, of course. Now, consistency is another issue. Okay? There are many factors that would determine the chemical compositions of plants, like the botanical factors and some harvest and post-harvest issues, which I don't need to read them out here. So as far as inconsistency is concerned, there's no way to ensure that every plant contains exactly the same amount of chemical ingredients. What can be done is just to minimize variation starting from the growing stage. So in many places, the good agricultural practice, GAP, or good agricultural and collection practice, the GACP, guidelines are established to promote the cultivation and collection of plant material in a standardized way. And the guidelines, of course, aims to ensure the steady and affordable and sustainable supply of raw materials of good quality. Then this leads to the concept of standardization. Standardization of herbal products is the process prescribing a set of standards of inherent characteristics, constant parameters, definitive qualitative and quantitative values for the purpose of assuring quality, efficacy, safety, and reproducibility. This is just a simple definition of standardization. And of course, standardization of herbal products can be implemented through different approaches. We can have we can set botanical standards, chemical standards, as well as biological standards to make sure that the products or an extract or whatever that is consistent as possible. All right, and so there are a lot of research now going on in order to establish criteria for standardization of herbal products. And a recent trend is then also to establish an integrative, so-called integrative and comprehensive quality evaluation system by combining the chemical aspect, the chemical fingerprint, and the biological fingerprint for quality control purpose. All right, and now in the market, you may when you go to the herbal shop or supermarket, when you get a bottle of natural products or herbal preparations, it's often labeled as a standardized product. So there are many products claimed to be standardized. What it means is that the product has been processed in such a way that it contains a specific amount of a certain compound, which is called a marker, right? So, for example, St. John's wort would be standardized against hypericin or hyperfluorine, and ginkgo products standardized against Fongs and ginkgolides, etc. So this is a way at this time to standardize extracts, and with the goal of helping to guarantee a consistent, more or less consistent composition. As I said, it can never be exactly the same from, but it is a good way at this time, at least, to maintain a high quality, a better quality of the products. Now, but what I want to add here is that for standardization or producing a standardized products, there is no regulatory definition at this time. So each manufacturer will have their own way of standardizing their own products, and the standardized products against one or two marker compounds also sometimes can be criticized because the drawback is that they may not contain other important constituents or ingredients in appropriate levels, because you're only measuring one or two markers within the mixture of hundreds, if not thousands, of ingredients. So metabolomic profile is now being explored to look at the overall composition, the picture of the products, in order to keep a standardized, keep the product standardized, right? And of course, then you all know that at the manufacturing level, there are a number of so-called good practice guidelines to help promote the quality of herbal drugs. And so these are your GAP, GCP, GLP, GMP, and all these are good efforts, okay, trying to make the products as consistent as possible. So in this respect, the Big Show has published a series of works to help promote the quality of herbal drugs, and I just show the major publications here by the Big Show. Now, as far as safety is concerned, I just want to highlight one issue of herb-drug interaction. This is another challenge that we are all facing when we are using, or we want to promote the use of herbal products. Now, we are concerned about the issue of contamination, or the variability of chemical compositions, or the dose level, etc. But one thing that is now an important topic for research and discussion is the herb-drug interaction, whether the herbal products would interact with pharmaceutical agents that the consumers or the patients are taking at the same time. Now, there are a lot of issues regarding herb-drug interaction at this time. The research work is, our knowledge about herb-drug interaction is actually very limited, but it is realized that this is an important issue that has to be looked into, and therefore, at this time, a lot of research work are focusing on understanding how the herbal products may interact with some regular or some medications that the person is taking at the same time. Okay. Well, here are just some examples of our limited knowledge about herb-drug interaction. There are some which herbal material might interact with some of the prescribed drugs and interactions, possible interactions. Now, in case of clinical outcomes, there are many challenges as well, okay? Including the lack of clinical evidence, our insufficient understanding of the mechanism of action. For most of the herbal products, we don't really know about the pharmacokinetics, particularly when the herbal products contain hundreds of compounds. And then bioavailability is also another issue, and how each of those ingredients are metabolized, whether they would create any possible toxic effects with the metabolites and etc. So these are all the areas wide open at this time for researchers to gain better understanding of the clinical applicability of the herbal products. Now, many of you are, of course, familiar with this pyramid of evidence for clinical agent, but so far, not many herbal products can reach the top of this pyramid. And so more well-designed studies are required to provide supporting evidence for the use of herbal preparations, particularly when we are talking about international markets. Okay, so there's a big concern outside of that. What evidence we can produce, or what evidence we can show to people that the herbal products are good for, right? So probably I've been telling you a lot of negative things, but those are real, okay? Those are the issues that we are facing at this time. But with all those challenges we are facing, the question is what scientific research can offer to meet those challenges. And this is something that I want to mention here. For me, I see many opportunities in front of us, okay, to tackle these problems. Here, I just want to suggest a field that I think is important and is a good time for us to work on. One is to develop more sensitive and robust analytical techniques, okay? One of the hurdles of understanding or evaluating the quality of herbal preparation is the lack of sensitive and accurate analytical tools, okay? So I think for many chemists or analytical chemists in the audience, if you're interested, then please, okay, develop more sensitive and robust analytical techniques. Not only for the quality assurance of a complex mixture, okay, but also to characterize the bioactive components, and also for purity assessment as well. So this all requires and very accurate and sensitive analytical methodologies. Identifying markers is another issue for quality assurance. And then after some, particularly those markers, we would like to have markers that possess pharmacological relevance, right? At this time, a lot of markers are just, we call it analytical markers, just anything that you can find to represent your plant. But ideally, if we can identify pharmacological active or compounds with pharmacological relevance, that would be very helpful. And then provide reference standards is also another issue, because sometimes what we are facing is we are not able to get to assess the markers that we would like to have. Right? Clinical trials. Okay, clinical trials, of course, is another area that is necessary to prove, okay, to provide a solid evidence of the clinical results. And then pharmacological profiles, of course, is also another area that is lacking for many of the herbal products. The mechanism of action and the PK, the pharmacokinetics, the bioavailabilities, etc. So these are the areas and opportunities that I think is open for many of us who are interested in working with natural or with traditional medicines and Chinese medicines. Now, Hong Kong is in a unique situation where we not only have very rich knowledge about Chinese medicine, but we have high-end technologies and infrastructures for research. So I think this is a golden opportunity for researchers in Hong Kong, okay, to tap into the Chinese medicine or herbal medicine area, and opportunities for collaborations locally, nationally, internationally are wide open to introduce and to modernize, is the term, right? Chinese medicine and introduce our national treasure to the world. Now, in the last part of my presentation, I would like to highlight a few areas that I think call for more intensive research. And of course, I encourage collaborative efforts to embrace the opportunities in developing into useful Chinese medicine products. Now, needless to say, the use of herbs and natural products for cancer management and prevention has a long history, and many encouraging results are available at different levels of evidence. Now, although so far there is no herbal drugs approved for cancer therapy in the Western world, several plant-derived natural products are being used in the clinic, of course, you know, for cancer, okay? And from a scientific point of view, we all know that there are a variety of herbal preparations and phytoconstituents that can modulate signaling pathways crucial to cancer biology, such as apoptosis or okay. So I think there's a lot of room for us to develop herbal preparations and natural products for cancer, either for treatment or for management, as I think is a better word to use, for management and prevention. So translational development is needed to further establish the clinical potentials, either for clinical use or as an adjuvant in combination therapy and for preventive purpose. Well, this diagram just show you, I taken from a review paper just to show that a number of formulations and as well as pure single herbs have been found to be useful, okay, to have some potentials, okay, for cancer treatment and cancer management. So, and as you know that the National Cancer Institute of the NIH in the US has a long history of interest in medicinal plants. And they have research programs in place to support research with herbs, particularly with the natural products branch and the division of cancer prevention. All right, so they have intense interest in applying natural products and herbal remedies, okay, for cancer. Now, in terms of general use of natural products or natural preparations for cancer, the society, I just highlight one society here, is the Society of Integrative Oncology in the US, and it is a nonprofit organization, and they are very much interested in supporting studies on using herbal or traditional remedies and integrate into the healthcare of cancer patients. Now, women's health. Women's health is, of course, an important topic, and it has received a lot of attention in terms of research in the last couple of decades. Now, in our department, we have a program on the herbs for women's health. And so it is realized that, well, this diagram just shows you that several, well, in this case, most of these are Western herbs, right? Not Chinese medicines. But these Western herbs are effective to modulate and correct female health concerns, particularly considering the estrogen level during the lifespan of a lady. And so starting from PMS, the postmenstrual syndrome, and the urinary tract infection, and all the way when the estrogen level drops, then you can go, well, it's recommended that a lady can use different herbs, Western herbs again, at different stages of their life. The menopause stage with red clover and black cohorts, and then for osteoporosis. So this is an area, and needless to say, many Chinese medicine formulas have been shown to be effective as well, and then they all deserve scientific scrutiny for developing into modern therapeutic agents. And in this respect, I just highlight a few organizations that are interested in studying natural remedies for women's health, including the Office of Research on Women's Health at NIH and the National Institute of Arthritis and Musculoskeletal and Skin Diseases. And then, of course, the American Society for Bone and Mineral Research is also interested in particularly osteoporosis research. Now, pain management. Pain management is another topic that puzzles the medical community, and it has become a global public health priority, right? Many people are experiencing different kinds of pains, which can last for a long time, and with no effective medicine to treat, and some even without knowing the real cause. So at this time, pain control is mainly by anti-inflammatory and analgesic drugs. And if they fail, then now a lot of people go to opioids. And of course, opioids are creating a lot of issues, like adverse effects and the drug addiction issues. So therefore, pain management using herbal or natural products is another areas that worth exploring. Okay. Well, I think I have to cut short, and here I just show you different modalities that are being explored for pain. Now at NIH, the Center for Complementary and Integrative Health has identified pain research in their the center's research efforts. So this is a particular area that they would like to tackle. This is another examples that there are different channels that we can go into for developing natural or herbal preparations. Now, neurodegenerative conditions like Alzheimer's and Parkinson disease is another area, of course, that because at this time there is no cure. Basically, there's no cure for this many of these neurodegenerative diseases. So that is another area that wide open for us to look into with the herbal preparations and herbal formulas. Yeah, I do see personally. I believe there's a lot of room for alternative therapies to be developed in this area. Metabolic syndrome, because we are concerned about the cholesterol level, blood pressure, triglyceride, and so this is another area that Chinese medicine and a lot of herbal preparations can work. But again, then what we need to do is to provide solid evidence, okay, and to understand the mechanisms and to make sure of they are safe for use. Now, lastly, COVID. Now, COVID, of course, is no longer the most important issue at this time, but as you know, COVID is still here, right? And last year, the WHO assembled an expert panel to evaluate the potential of Chinese medicine for COVID treatment. And the outcome is net positive. And here I just list out here a few summaries made by that expert panels. And so in general, the conclusion is that research is warranted on TCM for the treatment of COVID. And collaborative research and international collaborations is encouraged. Now, as far as NIH is concerned, the NCI has also initiated an effort to conduct research on COVID virus. Okay, so I'm sure that further research on Chinese medicine can provide insightful perspectives and evidence to handle COVID infection, and particularly the long COVID. Okay, a lot of people, a lot of patients now are facing a lot of health issues after they suffer from COVID. And so long COVID symptoms is always an issue that probably herbal preparations or some other modalities can take care. Okay, so to conclude, challenges on herbal medicines will continue, okay, into the future, right? And irrespective of the type of products or health products, high quality science is fundamental to the success of product development. So it is critical that researchers of all disciplines join forces and learn from one another to identify new issues, to develop ways to address and solve the challenges. And new technologies and technological innovation could show the way and provide a deeper understanding of the tangible benefits of traditional medicines. My time is up, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that I have convinced you that Chinese medicine is a treasure house that we should tap into, and it could benefit not only to our generation, but the many generations. And so it is an exciting time, at least for me. I hope that you share the same excitement to invest in research about traditional medicines. And I'm confident that the PolyU can make a great impact on and significant contributions to the health of the future generations through efforts of all of you. Okay, with that note, I thank you for your attention.
I have some questions here over the chair from the network, from the audience online. The first questions, the market is looking for accessible quality herbal products, or in other words, product developed by or clinically proven by universities. What are some of the factors that researchers and pharmaceutical manufacturers need to consider in deciding what to develop? The R&D cost for developing herbal product with known efficacy may be low. Well, I'm not sure, but that for new bioactive natural products can be very high.
Okay, so I think the question is, what are the factors that researchers and pharmaceutical manufacturers need to consider in deciding what to develop? Okay. I can try to answer, but I'm not sure I can give you a 100% answer to your question. So we are talking about universities here, I suppose. Yeah.
Yes.
So what are we we can develop? I think first, just like what I highlighted, the first thing is I think you should identify the areas that are most important at this time, or most concerned by the general public or the medical community. And then, of course, the second is you have to have the expertise to do it. So depending on what kind of expertise your team is, or what kind of expertise you can partnership with, and that is another issue, that area that you have to think about. In general, you probably one would not like to jump into a brand new areas that you never worked with before. So our colleagues in the university would have track records of their own field of research, and so I think it's based on what you are most familiar with. That is another thing. The third, of course, is the funding where you can get the funding from. First, there are many sources for product development. You may want to talk to the industry if you really want to develop a product. There are many channels for basic research and maybe some translational research. But for more downstream research, I think the main support would come from the industry. Am I right, Mr. Yao?
Yeah, we haven't introduced Harry yet. Okay.
Of course, Mr. Chair, you are always right.
Oh, no, thank you.
I used to work for pharmaceutical industry and also Chinese herbal industry before my retirement a few years ago. I recall that research is very important, but also I recall one of the venture capitalists who I know, whose name is Simon, who put the first venture capital money to Ma Yun some 20 years ago, or more than 20 years ago. He made a great success, of course, in Ma Yun, in Alibaba, but he also made a mistake in investing one of the researched product in Wuhan. At that time, he has a choice. He has a choice between Hong-Tao K. Perhaps you know the name Hong-Tao K. Heard of this or not? That is very popular in Chinese mainland 10 years ago. Hong-Tao K, 补血快. Hong-Tao K 补血快. That is to enrich blood in female. He invested in another product, which called a lot of research result. But he made a mistake because the product Hong-Tao K is a great success. Hong-Tao K did very minimal research, but make a great success because of heavy advertising. So 10 years ago, so you either put your money in the researched product or put your money in the product which has a lot of advertising support. So this become always in my mind when I was working for the Chinese herbal company. Of course, the company need to set the objective of the ultimate objective of doing what. If we are looking at the future profile, we normally look at which market you are looking for, which particular segment of people you are serving. If you are putting money into the research, you have to go back to your future profile and your objective. And if that match, then you have a better chance of success.
Okay, maybe I need to go through the second questions. We can have more panel discussion afterwards.
Okay.
Now, the second question is talk about cultural differences because Professor, you come back from Chicago. So is there any difference between the East and the West in choosing the target for study and research design and techniques used in the herbal medicine research in the two regions? That is part one. The second part is, can you find what are some of the major obstacles that you find when you do your research at UIC because you're studying traditional medicine? Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Of course, cultural difference is a major hurdle if you want to introduce your products overseas. You have to make sure that people can understand what your product is good for, right? And therefore, I think the easiest way is to get your product for a specific disease target, just like what I mentioned, Alzheimer, cancer, and don't get a products that can create a heat from your body, all right? And no one will understand that. And well, what I'm talking about is internationalization, all right? For Chinese people, it's a different story, right? And for the Eastern market, is another story. So for the Western world, I think you need to make sure that people understand what the product is good for. Just because of the cultural difference, they cannot understand the wind, the humor, the heat in your body, right? And the second question is, what are the major obstacles you encounter in implementing research? Funding.
Money.
Money. Well, yeah, I think, of course, there are two things. I think working in the university, one is, of course, you need research funding, and when you write proposals, you have to understand what the funding agency is interested in. Okay. And so you have to look for the right place to submit your proposal to. The second thing, of course, is that you may you have to aim at some good quality publication as well for your research, because well, to survive, we're talking university, right? Yeah, to survive in the university, you need good publications. So if you just spend 100% of your time in developing a product, then you miss a lot of opportunities for high quality output of your research.
Okay, now I have two more questions. Both of them are related to cancer. Now, the first one is about the usage of herbal medicines for older adults with terminal cancer. Now, for these, because the choices would be chemo and radiotherapy, maybe too much in terms of damaging to the older person, would herbal medicine be a preferable approach?
I'm not able to give you a yes and no. It always a personal preference, because it is the patient's and the family's decision. So I can't answer this question, but of course, in general, when no other medicine is working, then people will seek to use herbal remedies, and that is, of course, it's okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but if you are talking about quitting the Western medicine and just to take herbal medicine only, then I am not able to say yes or no.
Okay, now the last question from our attendants here. So generally, human beings are in short of specific anti-cancer treatment. What are the major challenges for Chinese medicines to get approved as anti-cancer drug in Western world?
What is the main challenge? Well, for getting a drug approval, of course, then you have to fulfill all the regulatory requirements of the agencies. Like in the U.S., that is the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA. And usually, my feeling, is that for cancer drugs, probably sometimes it's a little bit easier, just because of the severity of the disease. But as I said, so far, there is no herbal preparation, no herbal drugs for any kinds of disease approved in the United States.
Okay.
There are 3 herbal drugs approved, but none of them are for cancer.
No, thank you, Professor Chen.
Thank you.
Now, anybody from the room here might have any question referring to the talk that Professor Chen is giving? No.
Yes, Professor Lau?
Thank you, Dr. Chair. A very interesting talk. I know you have been working in the herbal product development for many, many years. We also worked in projects. But as you mentioned earlier, also one of the audience online also mentioned the question, why in the United States have not approved of any products? Well, I mean, FDA approved products. Do you know, in your opinion, what's the reason behind? Why so? And in your opinion, in the future, is that possible, or you think it never be possible that any product be approved by FDA based on FDA? Thank you.
Thank you. Anything is possible. It just take times and efforts. I think, well, to me, I think really, I think the cultural barrier is one, because a lot of people just don't understand how the herbal preparation works. And of course, then the other issue is that for approval process, they go strictly, very strict on following the rules for chemical drugs. So in many cases, like I mentioned that for a herbal preparation which contains more than a single compound, so that creates a lot of questions that the regulators may have in mind. So when I say everything is possible, what I mean is that I think really it needs a lot of research, particularly on assuring the quality and the clinical outcomes. Now, so far, for a lot of clinical studies on herbal preparations, if you read all those meta-analysis or those systematic review, I don't want to say 100%, but majority of them, the conclusion is inconclusive, right? Just because of the lack of well-planned protocols. So that is another issue that that we may think about on designing the clinical trials. So to me, it's quality and outcome, of course, is the most important. And then the acceptance, of course, so just like you have to have something that people would accept to take. People in the West are very cautious about taking something through the mouth. Okay, so acupuncture is good, right? Because they don't need to take through the to intake to ingest. But for ingestion, they are very mindful about the potential risk and effect.
Now, Professor Chen, Professor Lau, okay, because of time, I need to wrap up. So next week, we'll listen for acupuncture.
Good. Yes, I look forward to
on
that.
Friday. Okay, now I need to introduce our panel here because they really come all the way from other places to PolyU to support our events today. So let me start from my left-hand side, a longtime collaboration, Professor Carl Jim from UST, and he has been working on Chinese medicine for a very long time, and we are good friends, okay? And on the very far end is Professor Carol Lau, coming from Chinese University of Hong Kong, also very good collaborator, and we have been working on different conferences before. Now, Harry and other good friends, and he has been working in the pharmaceutical health industry for a very long time. So we can ask him for some suggestions about what is what to develop and how we should phrase or develop in the future. Okay, so we'll talk about that later. So now his position is a chairman for the Modernized Chinese Medicine International Association Foundations. Now we also have Professor Jiang from Baptist U, first affiliated with UIC somehow, and also very successful now at Baptist U. Now I want to say, because on behalf of our Research Center for Chinese Medicine Innovation, I do see a lot of opportunities. Okay, we heard about the issues. I have been in PolyU for 20-some years. I could see the big changes in terms of the funding that is available, the platform, the technologies that have helped Chinese medicine, not just Chinese medicine, but in terms of disease, kind of drug development, that is a lot of system biology has been developed. And I would like to hear from our panels today, because I think Professor Chair help us to open some of the suggestions from areas that we can do. Especially there are so many young scientists now in our audience. I could see a lot of opportunities from global setting, because a lot of disease that we cannot manage. We can also see national effort in promoting Chinese medicine research and product development. So I probably should start with my left-hand side. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Mansao. I have to thank Professor Chair's talk today, but I want to ask, it's not to ask, to raise two aspects such that we can open up our discussions. The first one you mentioned about the authentication, the problem of Chinese medicinal herb on the market. What if, due to the problem that we are having the cultural when or we used to buy herbal medicines so easy. So in the Western medicines, you don't see that problem. You cannot go to OTC to buy Prozac, right? But in the Chinese medicine, you can buy whatever you like in a drugstore. So what if you restrict all those prescriptions and the herb being by certain GMP or authorized dealer? So that could solve your problem regarding the toxicity, the authentication, the toxin, and so on. All right. So because if I am the authorized dealer, I will spend money to do all those testing and certifications. So this is the one to change all the way that we are buying herbal medicines today. So I have another stone for discussion is, do you think that we have been doing too much chemical analysis on what we are authenticating our Chinese herbs? So in principle, the chemical really does not mean what they are doing. All right. So we are just taking it easy. We look at the chemical, we look at the ginseng, supporting because they are there. All right. However, in the Chinese medicines, can we open up our eye to use AI or 3D camera to authenticate the herb much better? I give you one example. If you go to the cross border, we have 1.4 billion face being recognized by the computer. All right. So the only thing that we have not able to recognize the Chinese herb, because we are not like the central government. You take picture of individual face every time. So I just put these two issues for discussions. Can we totally rationalize what we look at, what we are doing? Well, I have to mention, Professor Che is my Xiheng.
I think all the panelists can answer the question, but maybe I try it first. Now, the first question, I think, relates to what I mentioned in the very early part of my talk, and that is the regulatory framework. The regulatory framework is different at this time from place to place. The reason is that there are not too many herbal preparations so as drug in the Western world. It's just because of those products cannot fulfill the regulatory requirements. But for a society, with Eastern culture, or Chinese or whatever, the Eastern culture, I think it would be quite difficult to change the mentality and the practice for thousands and thousands of years. Well, if you dare to do it, go ahead. Or if the government dares to do it, but practically or realistically, I don't think that that can be done, at least in my lifetime. I'm not sure. Any suggestions? Or now, well, maybe I can answer your second question too, and then let other panelists to talk about. What is the second question? Sorry. Oh, well, for chemical analysis, I think it's not only for identification. We do chemical analysis, like the fingerprinting, and for identification. That's one thing. But to me, it's more important to understand the chemical composition from a drug point of view, because you really want to know what you are taking into your body. And so to try to understand what chemical compounds are there that you are taking in. I think there is always, it's risky not to know what you're taking, particularly when some plants may contain some potentially toxic ingredients. That's how I feel. Of course, as you know, for those of you working with chemistry or plant chemistry, you will never get 100% understand what a single plant contains. So that's why for our graduate students, you just pick any medicinal plants. They will be able to find some new structures. So, but the effort, I think, is trying to understand as much as possible up to this stage with our current knowledge, what is contained, what are contained in the herbs. So we know better what we are taking in. So chemical analysis is not only for identification. I agree with you. For identification or authentication, it's only part of it. And the DNA analysis, of course, is a good tool for identification. If you can get good materials, you don't even need to bother analyzing the chemistry.
Okay, I'll ask maybe Hongjie.
Okay, so I just raise another question to discuss. We talk about the traditional Chinese medicine and the Western medicine. So what's the difference between the two? So now, for the Chinese medicine, so we have a theory. So we really have a theory, right? We have yin and yang, Jun, Chen, Zuo, Shi. But I ask you the question: so what is the theory for Western medicine? Does Western medicine has any theory? What's the theory?
Well, they have all those enzyme receptors.
Those not Western medicine. They just borrow the idea like from the theory for chemistry, theory for physics, theory for any kind of. But really, they do not have a theory. Do they have the yin and yang? Do they have a Jun, Chen, Zuo, Shi? They just use the instruments, equipments, and all the kind of technology. So, I mean, they can use this technology, but why does Chinese medicine use this as instruments? We can modernize our Chinese medicine. So you cannot really tell that difference. The culture thing, for the Western people, they think different way. For the Chinese people, they also think different way. Like we're eating, right? So for the Western people, you go to kitchen, so you cook the food, and they place on the table. They all use all kind of the tools like forks, spoon, and those, right? But for Chinese people, you put the food on the table, we only use chopstick. They think really different.
I agree, Hong Jie, because I think Chinese has its own way of cooking and treating ourselves. Now, the system biology, I think, might be helpful to help us with that, because like even for, I'm studying nutrition, right? So if you think about how to make a recommendations of what to eat in different part of China, you have to, if you really have to go through chemistry, it's hard because there's a lot of different flavor and different season, different geographic locations. So the complexity is by itself, say, just address what you say. But I think in other words, to talk about the Western medicine, they always find targets. There's a more single target based way of finding a treatment. And that's probably signified the difference between the West and the East. And I think currently a lot of the symptoms or the disease that Professor Chen mentioned about the opportunities are multi-system. It's a more systemic way of treatment. And I think Chinese medicine or even our food has a better way of handling that than those single target approach. What do you think, Kara?
Well, I would like to actually follow up on what we have discussed earlier on the chemical markers. Actually, in my opinion, as Professor Chen has already highlighted, chemical markers is actually not enough. In the Chinese pharmacopoeia or any of the global pharmacopoeias right now, all they have been using is chemical markers. But chemical markers, as Professor Jim has already mentioned, it doesn't reflect the biological activities. So, about a few years ago, my research group has already published a methodology comprising of 5 steps, which are trying to validate whether the chemical markers quoted in the Chinese pharmacopoeia can be upgraded. Well, I use the term upgraded to a bioactive marker. So to be honest, our group has been using 9 examples to basically 9 of the herbs which have been included in Chinese pharmacopoeia, and then look at the chemical markers which they quoted in Chinese pharmacopoeia, and then we identify the particular disease area, because if you talk about activity, then you need to identify the major disease area, and then we try to see if that particular chemical marker at that relevant dose can actually be responsible for the activity. So we have proven that, we have tried to validate the 5-step methodology actually works. So to be honest with you today, I would like to make a request, since Professor Chen, Professor Jim, I think you as well, right? You are all in the Hong Kong Standard Committee. I have been working for a few years trying to persuade them to include, in the second basis, whether biological markers can be actually considered and included, in the development of the further development of the Hong Kong Standard. So this is a request to a few of the panel members, which, because I think this is the way forward. If we talk about quality control of the products, I think Harry will agree with me, right? Just using a chemical marker for the regulations of these products are not good enough. Even if you have, if you've got this marker, the quantity that is what agreed by the Chinese pharmacopoeia doesn't mean that it has the biological activity at the end. So I think, the way forward is actually, I know that, working with bioactive markers will be much more challenging than chemical markers, because, there are many disease areas, which one to focus on. But I think this is the way forward, for us to consider. Otherwise, we will just stay with the level of chemistry.
Kara, Professor Chen, because of time, you can discuss that because it's involved our Department of Health. It's going to be not within our scope of discussion, but I really want Harry to give us some suggestions. Now, because I heard about our scientists who are really passionate about what to bring up the standard of research and helping to improve the understanding of the material and also the mechanisms so that the Western people can actually have some idea of what we are doing. It might not actually help the market, as Harry already mentioned. Doing too much scientific work might actually jeopardize the business. Okay, so Harry, I think a lot of people sitting here and also online would like to have some hints on how we work with industry to work together for developing product, or at least preparing to collaborate with industry. How do we do that?
This is a really very complicated question on the very complex Chinese medicine or herbs. They are very complex, as mentioned by Professor Chair, and this question is very complicated. I still recall another friend who told me this when I visited him in Los Angeles 23 years ago. He's the founder of a Sunrider. Have you heard of Sunrider? Sunrider is a Taiwanese company. He shared with us that selling Chinese medicine in the US would be very difficult. That's why instead of selling Chinese medicine, he sell Chinese herbal food. He make the herbs into tea and ask the American to take it. And then in his factory, he got an exhibition hall showing the history of Chinese medicine, all the theory, and also all our major Chinese medicine practitioners. He said that to sell herbal health drink in the US together with sharing the culture would be good enough, because if you are selling Chinese medicine, they say it's too complex. I'm afraid I won't take it. So he made a great success in doing that. But as the question to me is very difficult, because what to choose to put your money into the research. I would say we can use another method. What not to do? As you all know, we are not only for the sake of producing paper. We are here for making money for the company which invest in Chinese medicine. So we need to focus on the strategic filter. What is the strategic filter? Strategic filter is to let you filter out those unwanted projects, because there are too many opportunities. Too many people will come to you, say that please invest in this or invest in that. So bear in mind, you go back to the future profile of your company, which market, which sector, and then figure out your strategic filter. And when opportunities come, or your friends from any university call you, you can fit it with the strategic filter and share with them that it doesn't fit into my strategic filter. That's the reason I won't support you. But sometimes you also need to build up your team. When I was in the Chinese herbal industry, I have over 100 staff in the research and development team. And I encourage them to come up with ideas. So they always come to me with a pile of projects, saying that that will make money in the future. So how do you select it? Again, you would select it using the strategic filter. But they say they have already compiled it against the strategic filter. Then still have too many projects for you to select. It's too complicated. That's why I decided to retire.
Now, I have one question online, and I would like maybe Professor Chair try to address this. Is that quality control of the traditional Chinese medicine usually focus on the active components? But sometimes these active components are only small part in the medicine. Do you think it is better to focus on the nutritional component like protein? Do you have any suggestion for further quality control?
Well, it depends whether you are developing the product as a drug or as a food. If you're developing it as a drug or at least then probably nutritional components are not sufficient to address the effect of the drug, of that product. In fact, can I go back to the question of Professor Lau? It's an interesting one.
I would like to give you an example. Okay.
Yeah.
If you like curry, okay, turmeric extract is one of the major component of curry, which gives the yellow color, which gives the taste of curry. Okay. Now, turmeric actually within itself, the major component I think majority of people knows is curcumin. Now, curcumin has been shown to have loads of biological activities. Okay, this is one of the really useful compound. But however, up till today, there's no drug in the market. Why? Because it has poor oral bioavailability. It is really not water soluble. Now, despite the last 2 decades, okay, many research groups have been using high technologies, using nanotechnology, using microsomes, liposomes, to help improve the oral solubility. But so far, it's not much success. Now, but just a few years ago, our group, just by chance, okay, because we were actually using the whole extract in fact instead of curcumin, and then we find out one of the really very simple solution. Within turmeric extract, it actually contains, apart from curcumin, it also contains a lot of the other chemicals. And one of the group of chemicals is called turmerons, which is lipophilic. And what we find out is no matter in cell-based, no matter in animals, we actually find that is together, if we use curcumin, this compound, together with the lipophilic compounds, turmerons, it can actually increase the oral bioavailability. So in fact, we have already published this paper. It's very simple. So don't use curcumin alone. Use the ethanol extract, which contains the lipophilic compounds together with curcumin. So this is actually the principle, or explain why sometimes, especially in nutrition, actually it's better not use a single compound, but use the whole extract together. And that also explains why curry, usually if you want to have a better absorption of the curcumin, add some chicken, pork, or whatever, because that actually adds the lipophilic characteristic.
But I think everybody knows the curry is quite fatty, so of course they have lipophilic stuff in it.
Yeah.
You want to?
Yeah, back to your suggestion of using pharmacologically significant markers. I totally agree with you. That's what I meant when I said that we have to look for new markers with pharmacological relevance. Now, but I think the difficulties is one that for many Chinese herbs, they really, how should I say, they are not good only for one disease target. So what you're doing actually is just trying to define the markers for one of the X disease markers, disease targets. All right. So in that sense, it works for that particular disease, the target, but not that particular compound may not represent the properties of the entire herbs. There's something that's one thing. Now, using analytical marker is not the final solution for sure, but it is just a compromise at this time when we take into consideration the level of technology for many of the industry manufacturers and the cost. And so at this time, as you point out, that most pharmacopoeia are using some analytical markers. In fact, I think one of the principles of setting pharmacopoeia standard is not to aim high. And because you have to take care of the average level of the industry, everyone can be able or capable of doing the assays and fulfilling the requirements.
Well, I totally agree with you, Professor Che, on what you have said. Because of different disease area, there's no way that you can have one, even if we upgrade to bioactive marker, it only particularly focus on that disease area. But what I'm thinking of is in the future, if we can build up of this, disease-specific biomarker. How about, in one of the monograph, within the Chinese Pharmacopoeia, you have a general, which is the usual, using the nowadays that chemical marker, which is for everything, okay, as it has been practiced for so many years. But if we can identify some of the really bioactive marker for that disease area, can we, what we propose is, can we have in particular saying like Danshan in the Chinese Pharmacopoeia right now is actually SAB. But tensional 2A and all that, if we can show that they are particularly useful as a bioactive marker in terms of cardiovascular disease, right? Then can we actually have, in addition, to be included as another bioactive this chemical marker bracket, what it is specifically good at. So if in the market, when it comes to that particular product, which is focused on cardiovascular disease, Danshan for cardiovascular disease, then they may have a better, reference in terms of the activity. Of course, other Danshan products, which is not related to cardiovascular, then can go back to use that chemical marker. So this is something I think we can, at least slowly move forward, that is what we hope, I hope to see. Thank you.
Okay.
Carol, I have a different thought of your questions. I kind of don't worry about the marker. The reason why is very soon with the system biology, we will have all those profiling of a herbal extract by the AI and algorithm and the network pharmacology. We can ping pong which pond sufficient for what disease. In that sense, we can do all those algorithms to calculate the profile to have 100% efficiency at the standard or 50% or 40%. So this kind of metabolite profiling we are missing today. But I will think that in a few years' time, with the technology that we are building in, very soon we can solve that problem. So in that case, I kind of don't worry about the market. Yeah.
Agree. But can the pharmaceutical companies, can they afford to use that as the quality control?
That's a matter of time. Okay? So in the past, the mass spec are so expensive. Today you can mass spec everywhere.
You see,
It's a matter of time.
in the future, even we don't need medicines. You know what? If your organ fail, we change your organs. You don't need any medicines in the future. I mean, okay.
We have a very exciting discussion group here. Now, we have some more question online, but I'm letting Professor Chair to see whether he wants to answer or not. Now, one of them is more like coming from a practitioner. Are there any research on combined effect of herbal medicine and different effects to different body type of patients?
Yes, I think many of those research are being done in the mainland. I mean, in the Chinese medicine community, there are reports of a particular herb for a particular body type or constituency, yeah, I cannot give you an example right off my head, but there are.
I think Professor Lau can answer that question.
For time consideration, I'm not going to answer discussion, but I'll be very quickly. The two different concepts before the Fong mentioned it. The TCM Chinese medicine more aimed to the symptoms. The symptoms associated with disease. The idea if we can resolve the symptoms, disease will be automatically. This concept, because the reflection of the disease is the symptoms, syndromes, group of symptoms. That's what I say. So not aim to the disease, we aim to the syndromes. That's in TCM. Thank you.
Now, thank you, Professor Lau. Actually, I would like to end today's discussion because we're like disclosing Professor Lau is going to give a lecture next Friday. So it's like a preview for upcoming. So the topic will be acupuncture in the United States from explorations to accessibility. So if you enjoyed today's activities, you're welcome to join us again next Friday. And he's our next pair fellow for our center. Now we thank the panel and also for the chair for today's exciting discussion and talk. Thank you.